sometimes people are out trying, they're pushing, they're getting cars, they're trying to be seen, they're doing all of this stuff. Sometimes God will hide you. And let me tell you how I know that. In my own life, I was under the radar for a very, very long time. And for the most part, I still am. Believe it or not, I really am. I was kept from a lot of things, kept from being exposed to a lot of business ideas and business situations and business thoughts, or how things were run. And by me being kept away from that, it allowed me to not be tainted by it. So sometimes you have to be hidden. Sometimes people are not supposed to recognize you. Sometimes people are not supposed to invite you to the table. You can't be angry about it. You need to accept it and find out why. Why am I being hidden? Because I tell you now, had I went the route that I wanted to go, what would have happened is I would have ended up in Hollywood and did the deals that everybody else had done, and there would be nothing different, nothing spectacular about the blessings that I've received. It would just be an average story. But because I was hidden, because I didn't know how it went, because I didn't know how things were supposed to go in film and television, that ignorance allowed me to carve my own way. I know this may be difficult for some people to understand, but hear me clearly when I say this. Because I was hidden, because nobody knew what was going on with the success that I was having on the plays, it was all underground. When I got there, I was able to make deals that were unprecedented. They didn't think there was anything to it because they didn't know who I was. Completely underestimated. The great thing about being hidden is that you can be underestimated. And when you're hidden and you're underestimated, you're able to do some things that will not only change your path, your life, but the lives of millions of people, the ones around you, your children, your family. It will uplift and change everybody and everything. So what I say to you is, if you're struggling and you're fighting to be seen, sometimes you're supposed to be hidden. It's not your time to be seen yet. Stay the course. Learn what you can. Walk in the path that you're supposed to at this time. And at the right time, God will reveal you, your talents, and everything you've done to the world. In the meantime, prepare.
We all go through times where it doesn't feel like we're making progress. We're praying, but our prayers aren't being answered. We're being our best, but not getting good breaks. The problem hasn't turned around. Seems like God went on vacation. But the silence is not a sign that God is not working. He may not be changing the circumstances, but He is changing us. God uses the seasons of silence to get us prepared. When we're not getting our way, we're doing the right thing, but we're being overlooked. Our friend got married, but we're still single. We're working harder than our coworker, but they got the promotion. We feel overlooked, undervalued, forgotten. These times of isolation where you're not being celebrated are extremely valuable. Nothing may be changing on the outside, but something's happening on the inside. Your character is being developed. You're learning to not depend on people. You're gaining experience, maturity, strength that you'll need to go where God is taking you. And you may wonder why no one is celebrating you. You're being faithful, but the door hasn't opened. You're gifted. You know you can teach that class better than the person that's in place, but they never call on you. Don't complain about the silence. God does His greatest work in isolation, when nobody is noticing you. There are things you will learn in anonymity that you can't learn anywhere else. When God is silent, that doesn't mean He's not concerned. Silence is not a sign that God has forgotten about you, just the opposite. It's a sign that He's closely watching you. He's getting you prepared for new levels, but if He brought you out before you were ready, it would stop your purpose. God loves you so much that at times He will hide you. He'll cause you to be overlooked. He'll cause the door not to open. He'll cause a person to walk away. You can be talented and hidden, anointed and hidden, have great ideas and hidden. And if you don't understand that it's God hiding you, you'll be frustrated and try to make things happen out of God's timing. But before you see notoriety, you'll go through a season of obscurity. You have to pass this test when you're hidden. But here's the key. Don't compare your life to other people's. It may seem like they have it better. They're further along. They don't have the challenges you do. Run your race. God's purpose for your life is not the same as theirs. Don't look to the left or to the right. Stay focused on your calling. You may have big dreams. God has spoken promises over you, but nobody is noticing you. You're not seeing increase, promotion. Don't get discouraged. It's because God has you hidden. You're not off course. You're not falling behind. You are in a time of preparation, a time of training. God is getting you ready for what He has in store. If you will keep doing the right thing, you will come into a time where God causes you to be seen. Promotion doesn't come from people. It comes from the Lord. When it's your time, no person can stop you, no bad break, no injustice. Just as God hid you, He will bring you out into the open. He will shine down His favor and cause you to go where you couldn't go on your own. Now, you may feel like you're hidden, but don't be frustrated, thinking you're falling behind and look who's getting ahead of me. When God brings you out, He will catapult you forward. He will make up for the lost time. When you have an expensive piece of jewelry, a diamond ring, you put it in a box and hide it. You don't wear it around the house to go work out, to run up to the grocery store. It's valuable, so you keep it hidden. And at the right time, when you're going somewhere special, you bring it out for people to see. In the same way, the reason you're hidden is because you're extremely valuable. You're like that diamond. You're going to shine. God's waiting for the right time to bring you out. You are not hidden because you're ordinary. You're not hidden because you're average. You're hidden because you're a masterpiece. God breathed His life into you. You have seeds of greatness. Don't let the silence discourage you. Your time is coming. Now, in the isolation, you have to deal with the issues God brings to light. Let Him develop you. Like David, do the right thing when it's hard. Keep a good attitude when you're being treated wrong. Go the extra mile when nobody is watching. When you're hidden, you won't see anything happening on the outside, but I can assure you, on the inside, God is doing a work. That's an opportunity to grow, to come up higher. You're getting prepared for new levels. You may not understand the path that God has taken you and why it's not happening faster, but God knows what He's doing. He uses the delays, the difficulties to get us prepared. None of us like the slow seasons, and especially the unfair seasons. We lost a loved one. A friend walked away. A dream didn't work out. It's easy to think, God, why didn't you stop it? Why didn't you heal my father? Why didn't you keep them from betraying me? But God doesn't waste anything. The difficulties, the delays, the losses, if we will keep the right attitude, it's all working for our good. It's getting us toughened up. Because where you're going, you can't be offended by every negative comment. You have to have a backbone made of steel. God can't promote you if you're going to be revengeful and try to use that position to pay people back. You have to let it go and trust God to be your vindicator. If you're intimidated by the opposition, overwhelmed by difficulties, it will keep you from your destiny. And in these silent seasons, like the Israelites, we can think, God, the promised land is that way. Why are you taking me the long route? You have to trust God. He can see things that you can't see. He knows what's best. It's all a part of the process to get you prepared, to get you developed. He knows what you're going to need. The the scripture says these light afflictions are for a moment, but they're working in us an eternal weight of glory. Somebody not being for you, that's a light affliction. That's like a little gnat. Just flick that away. Your time is too valuable to waste on petty things. But when you've been through some difficulties, through some losses, through some Goliaths, you don't complain about not getting a parking spot. You don't fall apart because somebody left you out. You don't give up on a dream because it didn't turn out your way. You know it's a light affliction and it's working for your good. Now you may be in a season of silence. You feel like you're hidden, but the silence doesn't mean God has forgotten about you. He's heard every prayer. He's seen every tear. And at the right time, God is going to bring you into what He's already prepared. God is not preparing the blessing for you. He's preparing you for the blessing. The promised land was already in place. He had to get the Israelites prepared. Favor is already in your future. There are blessings that already have your name on them. The right people, divine connections already lined up. You keep passing the test in the silent seasons. You keep getting prepared, and you're going to come in to more than you can ask or think. But what stops some people is they don't like the preparation. You have to deal with the issues God's bringing to light. Maybe God's asking you to put down your pride, forgive the person that did you wrong, or to start saying no to the compromise, no to the jealousy, no to the critical spirit. Don't let a small thing keep you hidden. Don't let something you know you can overcome keep you from the amazing future that belongs to you. You're not hidden because God is mad at you. You are hidden because God loves you so much, He's getting you prepared to go where you've never gone. Now, in the isolation, in the anonymity, where you're not seeing increase, you're not getting good breaks, like David, use that time to draw close to God. One thing about being isolated, where you don't have a lot of people or things to give your attention to, you can turn your attention towards your Heavenly Father. Learn to talk to God. Develop a deeper relationship. When you're in these seasons of silence, when you feel like you're hidden, it's so important to look inside and deal with things that could be holding you back. You can have the talent to go somewhere, but if you don't have the character, if you're not willing to forgive, keep giving in to compromise, if you don't treat people right, that will keep you from your best. Don't be frustrated when you're hidden. Jesus was hidden. Elijah was hidden. David was hidden. It's all a part of the process. Here's the beauty. You're hidden, number one, because you're extremely valuable, like that diamond. Number two, you're hidden because God is about to launch you. You're on the verge of seeing promotion, favor, increase like you've never seen. You may have been hidden for a long time, but you've been faithful. You've been growing, getting prepared. And I believe and declare God is about to bring you out. He's about to cause you to be seen. People are going to notice you that have never noticed. Keep being faithful. Your appointed time is on the way. In Jesus' name.
You know, most of us in life, we work so hard for things. We think life's going to be a certain way, but as you're going to discover, life is never a straight line. You know, we're taught that. We think line is just, I'm going to go from here to there. But if you look in nature, you never see a straight line in real nature. If it's a straight line, a human built it. And so it's a process of evolving, of growing, dropping back, growing, dropping back. And challenges are what really grow us. You know, your life is a great story. You know, every person's life is a story. I say to people, you got to participate in your own rescue. You've got to retool yourself.
Let me tell you something. Life can be long. You bury your dreams, you quit this, life gets long. See, time's relative. 2 minutes of you being with your sweetie, doing whatever you like to do with them, that can go by quick, right? What's about the last 2 minutes on a treadmill? Does that not seem like it goes by for like 4 hours, right? So if you're enjoying it, it's short. If it's painful, it's long. Life can be long. See, there's a book being written about your life, isn't there? Someone somewhere's taking inventory of your life. Don't compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 10. You write your own book. And at any moment in your life, you can decide that you want to make this the new chapter. You're literally in your life, you can turn the page. And those previous chapters are your old book. It's like Old Testament, New Testament. Old story, new story. They're connected, they're related, but you can flip the page and you can have a whole new story. If you decide right now, I am literally turning, my breakthrough is I turn the page, and in this second, I start to write the best chapters of my life.
There are no skill sets in community colleges today, for the most part, that are going to prepare you for the economy or a job that's there. So what is that going to do? You're just going to waste more money, more time. We need to retool ourselves. The government's not going to do it for you. And a great leader in a company is retraining their people all the time. The training never stops, because that is the innovative, creative marketing edge, is your own people. I think you have to self-educate. I mean, I'm an example of that myself. You have to say, what's an area that I want to become masterful in? Because dabblers will never have any financial freedom. You know, if you're going to run a company, you got to find what is your niche. What is it you're going to do better than anybody else? Every one of us individuals have to say that and then say, now, where do I get that education? In the world that we live in today with the internet, where there's education from all over the world, from MIT, from Harvard, online, and there are people you can go to work for who you could become a mentee of. There's just so many approaches, but you can't have a standard education and expect to have an extraordinary life. It's not going to happen. The one breakthrough for all leaders is constant, never-ending improvement. And that means educating yourself and continuing to develop even greater emotional mastery, because that's what affects whether you execute or not.
The most beautiful thing about having dreams is that it's in your hands how big your dreams become. And this film taught me that. I've come here only to introduce you to the idea of saying that no one can tell you that your dream is too small, or your dream cannot come true, or your dream cannot be allowed because you're a girl, because you're a boy, because you look a certain way, or because you come from a certain place. I'm not even Northeastern and I'm playing Mary Com. I mean, who would have thought that? I am extremely honored to be sitting in front of all of you wonderful, wonderful, really smart people and talking to you about my dream, which came true doing this film. Don't be afraid to dream, guys, because they do come true. They really do.
The key to being a loser,
very important,
is not loving and appreciating yourself.
Okay.
And allowing what other people think of you become more important to you than what you think of yourself.
Wow. It's a new advice. Thank you.
Yeah. That we were born to do something. You're here to do a work. The two most important moments in our lives, it's been said, the day that we're born and the day that we realize why we're born. And if you don't know, if you want to live a life of misery, don't try and find out. But if you want to live a life that has meaning and value and a sense of direction, spend as much time as you possibly can to answer the question, why am I here? And not.
So you will know yourself a lot of time.
Yes. So don't ask what is the meaning of life. Ask what is the meaning of my life? What am I supposed to do? What is this work that I was chosen, that God saw something in you, that you were chosen 1 out of 400 million sperm. He saw something in David. What was it that he saw? He saw something in Judy. He saw something in Les. There was something that caused us to be here. And I believe there's a work for us to do. There's something that if we don't do it, then the world will be deprived. And finding out what that something is, that element, the element is when what you love to do and what you were born to do come together that will allow you to show up in life in a bigger way?
I think there's a lot of roads to the mountaintop. I have the perspective that I have because that was my journey. And I had to start figuring out how to walk in the darkness, because that's kind of what it's like.
What darkness? What do you mean?
Like, meaning when you're caught in this psychocybernetic loop.
Can you define psychocybernetics?
Yeah, so it's this idea that what you believe will dictate your thoughts on a moment-by-moment basis. So if you believe that, money's hard to make, as a simple example, you're not going to have ideas or thoughts around money that would be lending to making it easily, right? And so what you believe dictates what you think. You can't get like an apple from an orange tree. And what you think you then experience is an emotion, right? And then that emotion then dictates what actions you do or do not take. And they're always aligned, right? Your beliefs dictate your thoughts, dictate your emotions, dictate your actions, which produce your results. And your results, when you look at them, then just reinforce the original belief. And so we're caught in that construct, right? But the linchpin is the belief system. So the question is, how do I actually change what I believe? If my beliefs really do dictate my destiny, right? Which is, I'm not the only person suggesting that. The question becomes, how do I change my beliefs? And in that is an inherent challenge, because by definition, beliefs are that which are true. Right, for us. And so then the question is, how do we break out of this? My way of breaking out of it was at one point to understand, and I'll start to kind of walk you through the structure of it, to understand that there were only two states of emotional beingness that I could be in at any given point in time. I would either be in a powerful state of being, states like joy, curiosity, excitement, calm, peace, passion, or I would be in a primal state of being, boredom, anger, frustration, some form of fear. I'm always in one of those two states, and I'm never in two states at one time. Those map beautifully to the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, right? So at any moment, we're either in fight or flight, or we're in rest and relaxation. Through my journey, what I realized was the only cause of that switch to be flipped was my own thinking. The meaning that I was giving the experience. The experience itself wasn't dictating whether I was in a primal state or a powerful state, whether I was in sympathetic fight or flight or parasympathetic rest and restoration or relaxation. It was the meaning I was giving the experience. And so that meant that all of my personal suffering was within my own control. I needed to start controlling the meaning I was giving the experiences of life.
Tell people your concept of the paddle.
Well, there's a paddle for everybody's ass. We all know that. And every day you just get up, and I don't fear anything, but I worry about everything. And the day you stop worrying in good times, the paddle will get your behind. And so as great as things are in life, I know you're only a few steps or a few incidents away from something bad happening. You can never forget it.
Did you have fear as a kid, and you just got into enough business scuffles that you figured your way through things, or have you always been fearless?
I'm pretty fearless, but I do worry about everything. But once again, the book, and this is why Harper's asked me to write the book, because of all my Tillmanisms. You got to know what you know and what you don't know. And I knew that I understood business. Now, don't ask me to, go win an Emmy. I took guitar lessons for 4 years, and I still struggle playing a guitar. I can't draw a stick person very good, but I knew that I understood business. So I know what I know, and I know how to do due diligence on a deal. I don't worry about making a bad deal, because I feel like that's what I know. So no fear when it comes to that.
When did you realize in Chicago or Baltimore that you actually had a skill as an interviewer that was really better than anybody else's? And where do you think that skill came from?
I never thought it was better than anybody else's. What I do think I have that is really uniquely my own is my ability to connect to the audience. Because my skill comes not from my interviewing ability, my skill comes from my listening ability, and my skill comes from me knowing fundamentally inside myself that I am no different than the audience. So what gave me the power in the seat and the power with the microphone was I always saw myself as the surrogate for the audience. So I would ask people questions that I would not normally ask. I mean, I asked some really embarrassing question once, not because I wanted to know the answer, but because I thought the audience did. And then I thought, I'm not going to ask what the audience wants the next time. And when I get in that situation, I put myself in a bad situation. I asked Sally Field when she was dating Burt Reynolds. I asked, remember this, Gail? I asked Sally Field, did Burt sleep with his toupee on?
What was the answer or the question?
And I would never do that today. I wouldn't do it because I was doing it because I was getting pushed by the producers like, people want to know, people want to know. So I was thinking I was doing it on behalf of the audience. She shut down and I could see that it embarrassed her. And I never got another thing from her. So I thought, okay, that was wrong. I learned from that.
It's an urge. It's an urge. Every champion has felt it. Every king has felt it. Every winner has felt it. Every soldier has felt it. Every victorious person has felt it. The urge to quit. Don't you give up on your dream. I don't care if you don't have the money, you don't have the help, and you don't have the family for it, and you don't have the background for it, and you don't have the friends for it. Don't you give up on your dream. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't you do it. It may take you twice as long. You may have to take courses and classes. You might not read as fast. You might not move as quick. You might not have as much, but don't you quit.
Through all the things I've gone through in my life, I had a lot of downs. How did I keep the faith? There was a couple of reasons. Number one, I know from living that if you quit whatever you're trying to accomplish, if you quit, whatever you were trying to accomplish can never happen. There's not even a remote possibility. If you quit, there is no chance of it popping back up again, coming back later. Quitting is guaranteed failure. Now, when you're trying, you're going to fail. But quitting, just stopping, that was the number one thing I understood. And then number two, you have to make sure that your dreams, your aspirations and goals are so big that not accomplishing them is not an option.
And then the other layer of it is you're probably going to have some suffering to get there or some sacrifice to get there. And so once you've embraced and decided that this suffering, this sacrifice you're making is an indicator of progress. It's an indicator of obsession. Suffering and sacrifice and hard work is an indication of progress towards our dreams. The lack of sacrifice, the lack of suffering in our lives, its removal, its non-existence also equates to a non-existence of a great life, a non-existence of a dream happening, a big one anyway.
You have to want something so big that it wakes you up in the middle of the night. You have to want something so big that you think about it all the time. You have to want something so big that it drives you to wake up when you don't want to. It keeps you up at night when you long been sleepy. It makes you show up, do things you wouldn't normally do. It requires extra. If you want to be extraordinary and not ordinary, if you want to be ordinary, live your life.
And so embrace the fact that you're going to have to sacrifice and suffer to some extent. Once you've embraced that it's going to happen, it's almost not that bad. It's kind of like those of you that are fit. You've sort of accepted that before you go to the gym and get there, you're going to have to suffer. And we go anyway. It becomes a habit. No one goes into a gym thinking, I'm not going to have to sacrifice or suffer. There'll be no discomfort or no pain. Yet in life, outside of that one area, most of us, we're worried about suffering. We're afraid of it. When we're suffering and sacrificing, we wonder whether it's worth it. We wonder whether we're supposed to. We wonder whether sacrifice or setbacks or suffering is a sign it's not our real dream, don't we? See, at the gym, you'd never think, oh, I'm going through some pain and discomfort. This must be a sign I shouldn't be at the gym. You'd never think that. So while it's happening, there's no part of you that says this isn't right. In fact, the indication of the pain and sacrifice and sweat, don't you feel better at the gym? You're like, wow, I really sacrificed today. I really suffered. So in that area, we all know to the extent we suffer and sacrifice is to the extent we grow. And your body is a metaphor for the rest of your life. But the rest of our life, every time we sweat, every time we sacrifice, every time we suffer, we don't do what we do at the gym. We start saying, well, wait a minute. Maybe I'm not supposed to be doing this. Maybe I'm not cut out. Maybe it's not my destiny. Maybe I just can't do it. It's the most unbelievable, ridiculous conclusion we draw, but it's what everybody does, which is another form of distraction, is doubt. Another form of distraction is just doubt, and doubt comes from the suffer. It comes from a loss. It comes from fear. It comes from the sacrifice. And so just remember this. You're supposed to suffer and sacrifice. So let me ask you a question. What are you willing to risk in order to make your dream come true? Nothing ventured, nothing gained. You're going to take a risk. Maybe it's financial. Maybe it's a risk of time. Maybe it's a risk at your job. Maybe it's a risk of looking bad. Maybe it's a risk of failing, of falling on your face, of going broke, of going through pain, of going through anxiety. What are you willing to risk in order to win? The price you will pay for not making your dream come true is far greater than the one that you will pay to make it come true. You'll pay that one the rest of your life. And so ask yourself what you're willing to risk. What's the price you're willing to pay?
Never give up until, however long that is, step by step, piece by piece, book by book, go for it. Don't miss the chance to grow, and resolve that you'll pay the price until you learn, change, grow, become. Then you'll discover some of life's best treasures when you pay that price, that price, that price, that price, that.
Because what most people do when they're trying to chase their dream or their big outcome, the whole time they're negotiating the price in their head. Should I continue to do it? Is it worth it? I don't know if I can continue anymore. It's getting higher, and that price is failure. That price is setback. That price is looking back. That price can be financial, literally a physical price. And what happens is, if you don't negotiate that price in advance, it's going to steal your focus and energy and become another distraction. One of the great distractions of chasing our dreams is this thing that goes off in our head as we're negotiating the price we're paying. Is it getting too high? Is it too much? And you'll have people in your ear, it's too big a sacrifice. You're going through too much. And you begin to negotiate it in your mind. It distracts all your focus. You can't be executing and negotiating simultaneously. If you're in your head negotiating and negotiating and negotiating, you can't execute. So negotiate it now. Negotiate it with me now. What are you willing to pay? For me, when I'm after something big, as long as it's legal, ethical, and moral, I'll sacrifice everything else. But I will not sacrifice anything legal, anything unethical, or anything immoral. But beyond that, I'm going to get it. And I know that negotiation comes up front. I accept the suffering. I accept the sacrifice. I know the sacrifice is far smaller than the one I'll pay if I don't do it. And I eliminate distractions, and I go freaking get what I want in my life, just like you can. And this needs to be your recipe as well. Successful people don't negotiate the cost of something. They negotiate whether it's worth it. What I'm telling you is, if you really want something bad enough, it's worth it. It's worth it. So start to feed yourself the worth question over and over and over again, not the cost question. Cost is a distraction. Worth is a focus mechanism. This is so worth it. It's so worth it. It's so worth it. Focuses you. Cost distracts you.
Now, if you don't want to do the extra effort, you finna be regular. There's nothing wrong with being regular. A lot of people are happy being regular. I just wasn't. I didn't want to be regular. I didn't want no regular house. I didn't want no regular car. I didn't want no regular clothes. I didn't want no regular checking account. I just didn't want it. I wanted to have an exceptional home. I wanted to have an exceptional bank account. I wanted to travel exceptional places. Now, if you don't want that, it's perfectly fine. You can be really happy being ordinary. But if something's burning in you, you got to deal with it. If you don't deal with it, you're going to be disappointed, man. See, being regular is cool. There's nothing wrong with it. You get a regular job, regular house, regular car, you get regular money. You go on vacation once a year, that's cool, no problem. Economy ticket, regular. So let me tell you something. You know what you ought to do? Save your money and buy a first-class ticket. This is how you train yourself to be successful. Save your money, get an upgrade, buy a first-class ticket. Because when you sit in first class, you're going to understand something. The seats are wider. You get a choice of meals, chicken, beef, or fish. You get a bowl of warm nuts. They give you a hot towel to wipe your hands. Why do you think when the plane take off, they close the curtain to first class? They cannot let you see what the f is going on up there because you're going to want it back there, but you didn't pay to get it. Hey, what are they doing? They're serving warm nuts. Where's our nuts? Wait a minute. They didn't get charged for the food. Their food was free. They didn't pay for the headsets. They're watching all the movies. Why don't we have that? Because you didn't pay for that. So they closed the curtain so they don't have to deal with your regular ass, wondering what's going on in first class. Once you buy a first class ticket, it becomes very difficult now for you to walk past those seats. Because now you're going to know what's going on. So when you treat yourself first class, you are conditioning your mind to now behave and do the things that produce first class results. That's why Dick Gregory said, whenever you can treat yourself first class, you should, because it conditions the mind. Once you fly first class, you'll never go back. All you got to do is you can condition yourself. Once you buy a really nice dress, you don't want a cheap dress no more. You want another nice dress. I'm telling you, man, being successful is a mental condition. You can all mentally condition yourself to being successful. All you got is your mind. You're in control of it. If you quit, whatever you were trying to accomplish can never happen. There's not even a remote possibility. If you quit, there is no chance of it popping back up again, coming back later. Quitting is guaranteed failure. You have to make sure that your dream, your aspirations and goals are so big that not accomplishing them is not an option. You have to want something so big that it wakes you up in the middle of the night. You have to want something so big that you think about it all the time. You have to want something so big that it drives you to wake up when you don't want to. It keeps you up at night when you long been sleepy. It makes you show up, do things you wouldn't normally do. It requires action. If you want to be ordinary, live your life. But if you want to be extraordinary, you have to be extra. If you put extra on top of ordinary, that word is extraordinary. It requires an extra effort.
Life's going to give you ultimately what you'll fight for.
The last 1,000 years on Earth, doing something great has been reserved to this one little group of people, 1% of the population. They're supposed to do something great. They're supposed to live their dreams. We're supposed to watch them, cheer for them, wear their jersey, watch their award show, comment on their posts, clean their houses, right? Feed them in their restaurants. No! The fact of the matter is, you can do those things. You can change your life. You're supposed to do something great with your life. You were put here for a purpose. Your way, the way you were born, the way you were raised, your background, your experiences, your giftedness all prepared you in your way for right now. And you're supposed to do something great with your life. You weren't born here to be average and ordinary. Play big. Stop playing small. Stop thinking small, and don't let anybody tell you you should be small.
I know that you've got greatness within you. I know that you have unlimited potential in you. I know that you have something to give to the universe that was not here before you showed up. You can have fears, but don't surrender. Don't let your fears have you. You're more than capable of making this your decade. You have the capacity to whatever comes up, to handle it, to face it. And rather than feeling powerless, you begin to feel powerful.
You don't belong at the bottom, and it's time for you to get your butt from down there. It's time for you to stop being comfortable at the bottom. Get your butt up and get to where you're supposed to be. The Bible says he was in a pig pen, and he came to himself, and he went home. Get your butt up. You are a royal priesthood. Get where you belong. Do what you're supposed to do. Live like you're supposed to live.
And I'm suggesting that it's necessary that you get outside of your comfort zone. It's necessary that you develop some new relationships where you can learn from people. It's necessary that you do reading, that you do research. It's necessary, if you're already involved in some business, that you don't be satisfied with where you are. If you want to make it today, it's necessary for you to constantly look at ways of getting better. Not over till I get over. Not over till I get what I want. Door can't open today, look out. I'm going to come back and take the hinges off. You've got to have that kind of courage, that type of determination. If you want to make it happen, it's you. But you've got to take personal responsibility to make it happen. But you have got to own what it is that you want to do. If it's taking care of your well-being, if it's making a difference in our school system, if it's working with senior citizens, if it's to protect our ecology, if it's to create an economic renaissance, if it's just to take yourself to another level, it's you. You've got to make that happen. We can point out many things that can make it inconvenient or can slow us down, but ultimately, it's on us. But what I've come to appreciate when you're working on changing your life, changing some bad habit, getting out of addictive situations or relationships, or working to build a dream or making a difference in our society, or learning something that's very challenging. Here's what I realize, ladies and gentlemen. It's hard. Easy is not an option. It's hard living. Life is hard. See, it's hard when you are 49 years old, been working on a job for 17 years, and they come in and tell you you're finished and give you 1 week severance pay. And you got to start all over again. It's hard when you're married and raising children and your children are crawling and your husband dies unexpectedly. It's hard handling just the tragedies of life. It's hard when you're working on something and you put everything you have in it and it doesn't work out. You lose your money and other people's money. It's hard. It was rough when I lost my job and I could not find a job. It was humiliating and embarrassing, borrowing money, and then I couldn't pay the money back when I told them I would. That's rough. How people look at you, how they respond to you. It's very hard. It's humiliating. Here's what I discovered that happens to you in life, that you will go through things, and while you're going through them, you can't understand why it's happening to you. But after you go through it, you get back and you look at it and you say, oh, now I understand why I needed that lesson. Then I saw that that was preparing me for bigger and better things. That as you go through the challenges of life and you look at it and embrace whatever comes to you, don't run from it. Step toward it. Don't try and duck it like most people do. See, most people want it easy. See, easy come, easy what? Easy go. See, but when you go at what you're going to deal with and you deal with the difficulties of it, when you handle those hard things close at hand, making those hard decisions right now that you don't want to make, learning those things that you don't like to do, but you know that in order for you to get where you want to go, this is one of the hoops that you have to flip through. And I'm saying to you, whatever you got to do, do it, because if you don't, life is going to whoop you until you surrender. So if it's hard, then do it hard. Now, how do you hang in there during the hard, difficult times? Les, you must have faith. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe in your abilities. You've got to believe in your service, your company, your ideas, unquestionably. You've got to have faith, and that faith gives you patience. That it's not going to happen as quickly as you want it to happen. A lot of things are going to happen that will catch you off guard. And so therefore you've got to deal with and handle it as it comes. And not only that, but that faith and patience drives you into action. You've got to keep moving and keep plugging away. In the Far East, they have something that's called the Chinese bamboo tree. The Chinese bamboo tree takes 5 years to grow. And when they go through a process of growing it, they have to water and fertilize the ground where it is every day. And it doesn't break through the ground until the 5th year. But once it breaks through the ground, within 5 weeks, it grows 90 feet tall. Now the question is, does it grow 90 feet tall in 5 weeks or 5 years? The answer is obvious. It grows 90 feet tall in 5 years. Because at any time had that person stopped watering and nurturing and fertilizing that dream, that bamboo tree would have died in the ground. And I can see people coming out talking to a guy out there watering and fertilizing the ground that's not showing anything. Hey, what you doing? You've been out here a long time, man. And the conversation in the neighborhood is, you growing a Chinese bamboo tree, is that right? Yeah, that's right. You know that's how people are going to do you? So how long have you been working on this? How long have you been working on your dreams? And you have nothing to show. This is all you got to show? People are going to do that to you. And some people, ladies and gentlemen, they stop. Because they don't see instant results. It doesn't happen quickly. They stop. Oh, no. You got to keep on watering your dream. During those hard times, we didn't know how you're going to make payroll. During those times when you failed and things didn't work out, they were nowhere to be found. But you know what I discovered? When you're working at your dream, somebody said the harder the battle, the sweeter the victory. Oh, it's sweet to you. It's good to you. Why? See, when it's hard and there's a struggle, see, what you become in the process is more important than the dream. That's far more important. The kind of person you become, the character that you build, the courage that you develop, the faith that you're manifesting. Oh, it's something that you get up in the morning, you look yourself in the mirror, you're a different kind of person. You walk with a different kind of spirit. And people know that you know what life is, that you have embraced life. You knew it was hard, but you did it hard. If it's hard, why do people do it? You ask people who do things, why do they go it? People who climb mountains just for the sake of it. Nobody paying them to do it, just do it. Somebody said, I'm going to run around the world. He said, why would somebody want that? I'm going to swim the Atlantic Channel. Why? Why do people do that? I wondered, why would a Nelson Mandela give up 26 years of his life? Why do people do that? Here's what I discovered in high school. High school, I decided I wanted to go out for football. Never forget this. And I discovered why people do things. You know why, ladies and gentlemen? Even though it's hard, it's worth it. It's worth it. The people who go after their stuff, what makes it worth it? It's got to be your passion. You got to love it, ladies and gentlemen. You got to love it. It's got to be what you are supposed to do. You want to sing, and even though they want to invite you to Carnegie Hall, you're going to sing to anybody that listens to you, including singing to yourself. I used to talk to my plants when nobody else would listen to me. You got to write, even if no one published your book, write, because that was given to you to do. I don't know how to do it. Learn. Do whatever is required. Just go out there It's possible you can get what you want. It's necessary. If you want it, you got to go into action. You got to be willing to experiment. You got to be willing to fail and to succeed. You got to be willing to form and to develop new relationships. It's you, it's on you. You got to make that happen. Nobody's going to bring it to you on a silver platter and say, here's your dream, manifest it. No, it's hard. Yes, it's hard. It's difficult. Yes, right. And it's worth it.
What does it take to really make the changes starting tomorrow? It takes more than philosophical pronouncement. I know that. It also takes more than enthusiasm. I know we're hearing a lot about enthusiasm these days, but see, that just won't do the job. We're still hearing the old cliches of the 30s, right? To be enthusiastic, you must act enthusiastic. After you have leaped about, there are some things you got to do. See, you can get all excited about lifting 200 pounds till you get to the gym. And then you need a new excitement. And the new excitement is called discipline. Major step to human progress. Discipline. If there's one thing to get excited over, that's it. Get excited over your ability to make yourself do the necessary things.